The luminous weaver. A young woman sat on a crowded subway train, her thumb absent-mindedly scrolling through a glass screen. To any casual observer, she was merely checking her notifications. But through the lens of a specialized spectral filter, the air around her was alive. From the edges of her sleek titanium smartphone, a thin, crystalline thread of violet light spiraled upward. It wasn't a chaotic beam. It was composed of tiny interlocking symbols. The algae's rune, representing protection, flickered at the lead of the stream, followed by Rado, the rune of the journey. As she hit send on a message, the stream erupted into a vivid pulse, leaping across the train car and weaving through the air toward another passenger 10 feet away. The era of invisible radio waves had ended. The world had entered the age of visible connectivity. It began with the Heimdall protocol, a global firmware update that tapped into the latent crystalline structures within modern processors. Suddenly, the binary world of Wi-Fi and 5G manifested as a tangible visual phenomenon. These were not just signals, they were a language of light. When two people connected, the air between them became a bridge of glowing geometry, a luminous tapestry of ancient wisdom facilitating modern conversation. In the heart of the city's telecommunications hub, the air was a thick fog of neon amber and cobalt blue. Huge antennas, once eyesores of industrial steel, had become luminous spires. They no longer just broadcasted data, they chanted in light. The runes for gift and joy swirled around the towers like golden starlings, diving down into the pockets of pedestrians. This was the decentralized web made flesh. Every smartphone had become a sigil, a modern talisman that didn't just transmit voice, but intent. The social impact was immediate and profound. It became impossible to hide the nature of a digital interaction. A hateful message sent in anger would manifest as jagged, discordant red runes of Thurisas, looking like shards of broken glass floating in the air. Conversely, a message of love or comfort appeared as the soft, rounded glow of Wunjo, casting a warm light on the recipient's face before dissolving into their skin. The digital world had lost its anonymity, replaced by a visual morality. People began to hold their phones with a newfound reverence, aware that they were wielding a power that their ancestors had carved into stone and bone. However, the technology brought new mysteries. Engineers noticed that in areas of high human density, parks, stadiums, or town squares, the rune streams would begin to braid themselves into complex fractals. These ethereal wells seemed to possess a collective intelligence. When thousands of people shared a moment of awe, the sky above them would fill with the Manas rune, the symbol of humanity, glowing so brightly it could be seen from low Earth orbit. It suggested that the network was not just connecting devices, but synchronizing human consciousness itself. Deep within the research labs of the Neo Ether Corp, scientists monitored the World Tree server. It was a massive column of liquid light where all the world's wireless traffic converged. They observed that the runes were evolving. New symbols, never before seen in historical records, were beginning to emerge. Runes that represented link, sync, and upload. The ancient alphabet was expanding to accommodate the digital soul. The lead architect of the protocol noticed that the signals were no longer just moving horizontally between people, but vertically, reaching out toward the stars. The narrative of human isolation was being rewritten by these glowing threads. In a quiet apartment, an elderly man received a video call from his grandson across the ocean. As their faces appeared on their respective screens, a bridge of soft white runes spanned the room, vibrating with a low musical hum. The connection felt physical. The grandfather could almost feel the warmth of the light as it brushed against his hand. This was the Gebo effect, the realization that every digital exchange was a literal exchange of essence. As night fell over the metropolis, the city transformed into a glowing neural network. From every window, every street corner, and every moving vehicle, the rune streams danced and merged. It looked like a giant glowing nervous system draped over the earth. The distinction between the biological and the technological had blurred. People were no longer just users of a network. They were nodes in a living, breathing entity of light and information. The article concluded with a chilling observation from a rogue coder. He claimed that the runes weren't just transporting our data, they were translating us. Every time a soul interacted with the Runic web, a small part of that person's identity was etched into the digital ether. We weren't just sending messages, we were migrating into the light. The smartphones were the cocoons, and the glowing runes were the wings of a new digital humanity. The final scene of the day was captured on a security camera in a silent park. A lost child sat on a bench clutching a phone with no service. Yet the device pulsed with a soft silver light. The runes for home and safety circled the child like guardian spirits, broadcasting a silent signal into the air, waiting for a matching frequency to find them. The connection was no longer about bars of signal or gigabytes per second. It was about the light that binds all things together.